So more bills that did not get passed in Frankfort. So we got one of the shittiest fucking states in the country. Number one for pollution. They didn't do shit about pollution. They didn't do shit about the cancer rates. They did do something about the cannabis. They made medical marijuana is legal for juvenile seizures. Okay, so for seizures, for young seizures when they're just going uncontrollable seizures, now they can get a cannabis, cannabinoid. They can get hemp oil, right, to cure their what ails them. So eminent domain, House Bill 31 would have prevented builders of the Bluegrass Pipeline from using eminent domain to acquire land for the project route through central Kentucky. So we got Bluegrass Pipeline, right? So just like this big Keystone Pipeline, we got a big Bluegrass Pipeline that wants just to cut right straight through the middle of Kentucky. They could use eminent domain for a public purpose. It's for a public purpose. And this bill would have stopped it. House Bill 31. So it's being started by the Democrats, I would assume, because it's a House bill. And it didn't get through for some reason. The measure passed the House, but it died in the Senate after Franklin Circuit Judge Philip Shepard ruled that private companies cannot claim a right of eminent domain. So private companies cannot claim a right of eminent domain, but the legislature could, the Frankfort could, and the local county governments could too. So it would have stopped it. And I don't know why they said the Franklin Circuit Judge, his ruling stops or whatever. This fucking thing would stop it too. It prevents it from actually happening. But instead, they assumed that the ruling would stop it. But whatever, it's what the fuck, fewer legislative work days. So they only passed 7 fucking bills, but now they want to have lower legislative work days. They don't really get paid that much. They only get paid like $15,000 a year or so, $100 a day. They get paid per fucking day. Senate Bill 195 would have amended the Kentucky Constitution to reduce General Assembly sessions in even-numbered years from 60 to 45 days. Really, they should get their shit together. They should get in there, get out. You can contact them all throughout the year, so that way when it comes to the actual few months that you're going to be doing some work in the beginning of even-numbered years, right, they pass the budget, so until they don't have to do shit until 2016. So pass some good fucking bills. You got an entire year to be working on something, Frankfort, so why don't you do something and actually get something passed. So they are going to shorten the days, which actually would save some money. In odd number of years, the sessions would be dropped from 30 days to as few as 15 days. So that's a really good idea. One thing I wanted to mention about the eminent domain, you have Allison Lundergan Grimes, who's basically going to, she's running as a mini Mitch McConnell, right? She's a little mini Mitch McConnell. She's trying to out Mitch McConnell bringing up the fucking guns. She's more coal. She's just a badass. She's basically a Republican is what she's acting like. She's a fucking badass Republican. When it comes to the Keystone Pipeline, which Obama has killed indefinitely, it'll never be picked up. It'll never come back up again. She has endorsed it. She endorsed this fucking environmentally destructive fucking thing, and so it makes me think that she probably endorsed a Bluegrass Pipeline. There is the argument, right? It helps economics and it helps create jobs and shit like that, but people don't like when their fucking land's being dug up and they go through so many different things. They could tap into some sort of oil or gas field, which would be good to discover it, but to have a big natural gas explosion is not a good thing. If Allison Lundergan Grimes gets elected, Kentucky will get fracked. It will get fracked so fucking hard. Okay, so you want to talk about natural gas and let's side with the fucking corporations over the environmentalists. She does say some things with the women's issues and with the minimum wage, which didn't get passed. Kentucky tried to pass House Bill 1. So the Democrats, number one, tried to raise the minimum wage in Kentucky from $7.25 to $10.10 an hour. It wasn't able to get passed in Frankfort, but it might get passed nationally, so it doesn't even fucking matter, really. Those people who pushed minimum wage will be looked at as heroes, even if they don't. And it says it would have been raised to $10.10 over 3 years, so it would have been $1 a year. Big fucking deal. They should be doing that shit anyways, right? Raising $1 a year. It passed the House, but it died in a Senate committee, so the Democrats wanted the minimum wage, but the Republicans did not. Death penalty, House Bill 330 and Senate Bill 77 would have replaced the death penalty with a sentence of life without parole. So they tried to kill death penalty, which really the government, the state should serve as the example for good or for ill. And if they're going around saying murder is wrong, then they should not be murdering people in order to say that murder is wrong. That's just another homicide, and so therefore the executioner, the one who flips the switch or the one who injects the needle, is also a murderer too. And eye for an eye makes the world blind. So for good or ill, we should actually set the example. We shouldn't say that murdering people is right. Justice is an eye for an eye. So with the last person executed in Kentucky was Marco Chapman, who came out of Gallatin County, and Gallatin County and Kentucky was right for murdering Marco Chapman because he had murdered children. And so he murdered innocent people in cold blood. I'm not for sure if he was just in a, I don't think there was premeditation. I think he was just in a mad rage or a drug-induced state, right? So he just fucking snaps and he kills these kids, and then the state kills him. So that was eye for an eye. You kill fucking innocent kids, you die, right? If you're Casey Anthony or if you're anybody else, if you kill fucking kids, you die. And that's pretty straightforward and fair, I believe. But I do also don't agree with the death penalty, just because, you know, if we're murdering, then how can we say that murder is wrong? So I think the government should serve as the example, so they should have a higher threshold. So only for the most heinous of crimes. I mean, that was a wicked fucking crime, and there was something cathartic, you know, through that, to murder a murderer, right? That's what they deserve. Eye for an eye. If you steal something, then you have to give back of equal or lesser value. Some Saudi Arabia, they chopping off your hands and shit. But if you take someone's property, you should replace the property of equal or lesser value. The fact that you even made the person go through all the fucking bullshit, and the fact that you would do something like that, you know, it kind of says something to your character, that you don't give a shit about society. You don't, property rights don't mean shit to you, which some people don't have property, so maybe that just doesn't, that's not a good argument. But property is codified into the Kentucky and American Constitution, so it's protected, even if I'm not if I don't agree with, you know, property. I question some property rights. Okay, so private-public partnerships, dual ballots. Oh yeah, here's something that basically they cracked on Rand Paul. So there's something that they can do with Rand Paul. They can pass minimum wage, or they can pass charter schools, or they can pass some of these things that the Democrats want, and you get, Rand Paul wants to be able to run for president, so he wants to be able to run for Senate and for president at the same. He wants to keep his Senate seat and run for president, but Kentucky law says it's not possible. So Senate Bill 205 would have allowed him to do that, but it failed. So the Senate Republicans wanted that, but the Democrats shut that down. I think that's Stumbo and Brashear. Public-private partnerships, House Bill 407 would have created a framework for public-private partnerships for certain building projects in the state. Kentucky Chamber of Commerce labeled the measure the most important jobs bills of the session, despite the addition of a controversial amendment that would ban tolls on interstate bridge. In Northern Kentucky, they should fucking ban tolls on interstate bridges in Northern Kentucky. So that's the House, the bill passed both chambers, but was vetoed by Governor Steve Brashear. So they wanted a framework for public-private partnerships for certain building projects in the state. They labeled the measure the most important jobs bill of the session. That's what the Chamber of Commerce wanted this. So Steve Brashear is standing in front of the Chamber of Commerce when it's passed by Democrats and Republicans, right? One of the few times they actually join hands and want to do something. The amendment that was added onto was the bad tolls, and maybe that was one of the reasons, but he could have done a line item veto, but he shut down the whole fucking thing. So maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this will stop tolls from happening anyways, because these private companies might get a hold of these bridges, and then they'll start charging all these tolls and then make all of this fucking private money from, you know, a public amenity. Felon voting rights. Of course, if you go to jail and you come back out, you should be welcomed into society. Our system is built so that people can change. You go in, you do your punishment, you come back in, you're welcome to society. You've done your punishment. That's the social contract, right? You've done your punishment. So House Bill 70 would have restored voting rights to certain felons who had completed their sentences. So once you come back into society, Kentucky says you cannot vote. Well, that's just fucking horse shit. It's clear that they should be allowed to fucking vote. The House passed the bill, so the Democrats did, but a Senate-approved version limited the number of ex-convicts who would be illegible for voting restoration. So they only wanted a limit. Only 100 of the fucking ex-convicts could fucking vote. Compromise between the two versions was never reached. So incredible. Fucking Senate. The Republicans don't want anybody being able to vote. They assume that if these ex-felons get the right, the Republicans assume any new voters are going to vote for Democrats. So whether it's the youth or black vote or Mexican vote or ex-felons, they're going to assume that new voters are going to vote for Democrats, so they want to suppress the voter, and that's what they've been doing all across the country. There's actually been predictions with the Republicans that they're going to be extinct. If they don't win the presidential election in 2016, the Republican Party is going to be extinct. So really the only chance that the Republican Party has in order to succeed is to go with somebody like Ted Cruz or Rand Paul, even though they aren't really that strong, and they'll get fucking smashed in the general election by, you know, an Obama-like candidate. So somebody that's pretty strong and headstrong and has a good sense about what's going on. They will, Ted Cruz and Rand Paul will be smashed in the general presidential election. Hillary would even smash them, except for her fucking policies are really shitty. Okay, so we need more like an Elizabeth Warren or a Bernie Sanders. Those would be way better people to run against a Rand Paul, because the Republicans have to go extreme in order to win. They have to actually get new voters and electrify the base, and the only way they're going to do that is not with a moderate. They're going to have to go Barry Goldwater. They're going to have to go a radical, with someone that's going to change the Republican Party but still keep the Republican Party. So Rand Paul saying he's a conservative, he's fucking for abortion, he's for the fucking big bailouts with Mitch McConnell, right, kissing ass to the establishment. Really, Rand Paul is sucking Mitch McConnell's dick right now, giving him fucking Jesse Benton his own fucking campaign manager. Right, so Rand Paul is basically just putting all this shit with Mitch McConnell, even though you got Chris Payne, Brad Kopich, Shauna Sterling, and Matt Bevin, who are all putting up fucking good Tea Party arguments. So, you know, it's just remarkable, actually, just how people operate, right? So, of course, we should have, felons should have their voting rights restored. I can't believe we're still arguing about this. They was doing this 4 years ago. Expanded gaming. This is the whole reason Steve Beshear walks in. Steve Beshear's a fucking, he's a lame duck. And so, as a lame duck, he should just be going as radical as he can go. The Common Core thing, the Obamacare thing, he should just keep on doing shit like that. And just putting executive orders in the fucking law, and just even have like an economic bill of rights, a top 10 list that people after him can carry on, even if he doesn't get it passed now. They'll be like, well, remember Beshear's top 10 list? Remember Beshear's economic bill of rights? Remember that his 10 commandments of Steve Beshear for what every Democrat should do? Because the Democrat Party is what's going to be taking the mantle on. And do we want these corporate Democrats, or do we want progressive Democrats? So Steve Beshear, I like it when you get down and dirty, when you get a little bit gritty, when you start actually talking and working with the people and seeing, like, politically, you're right with the Obamacare. Of course we need fucking health care, and Mitch McConnell has totally miscalculated, and he's going to lose a lot of fucking Republican votes for it, and history will absolutely embarrass this piece of shit. And good, he's been in fucking power for 30 fucking years, and he hasn't done a goddamn thing. He should be fucking kicked out. Fuck Allison Lundergan Grimes. There's a shout out to that fucking piece of shit. She doesn't want to fucking say we got a good democracy. She's basically making a mockery of democracy, which is embarrassing, right? She doesn't go to the fucking debate. She doesn't have any progressive agenda to stand up for. She's a corporate light. She's a psycho, so she'll change her opinion and basically go with the fucking flows of the winds. Whatever the people make her do is what she will do. She has no moral core. She doesn't judge the issue by the issue themselves. She's making decisions by politics. So there are some issues that she leans towards, but she is only going to say the things that the people clearly want. This is a red state, Kentucky, so she's trying to be fucking Republican light is what she's trying to do. So she isn't even trying to be progressive, even though a progressive agenda, a moderate progressive agenda, would fucking thump fucking Mitch McConnell. A 10-point plan, give your fucking supporters something to talk about to the general public, then you would fucking stomp Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell doesn't have anything to brag about. He's a worse blank slate than a blank slate candidate could get. Having a little bit of personality, Allison, isn't going to hurt you. It can only fucking help you, because you're going to get somebody that has no fucking personality, no accomplishments, hasn't done shit, you know, for Kentucky whatsoever. So, Allison, I think you already fucking won. You already got this thing in the bag. And it doesn't hurt to criticize your progressive fucking values, because I want to hear you say more progressive values that I actually believe in. You haven't talked about the war. You haven't talked about prisons. I think you're going to increase fracking when you get in there. You mentioned something about women's rights, and you mentioned something about the minimum wage, and so that gives me hope, but that doesn't exactly tell me where you stand on anything. Obamacare, I think you agree with Obamacare, but you don't want to say that. The Keystone Pipeline, you were wrong on. So really just pro-choice, you're good at women's issues with the sexual rights of women's. That's the one thing you're good at. Expanded gambling. This was Steve Brashear's fucking legacy when he got in. He was supposed to give us gaming and gambling, but he never got casinos. House Bill 67 and 68, as well as Senate Bill 33, were designed to create a framework to permit casino-style gambling in the Commonwealth, but none of them made it out of committee. Medical review panels. Senate Bill 119 would have created review panels to evaluate claims brought against healthcare providers before those cases could go to court. Measure passed in the Senate, but languished in the House. Good, because it's not good for the patients to actually have that out there. And that's it. And those are the things that they didn't fucking pass. So, all these things, this is Frankfort. So, fucking Kentucky, right? Fucking Kentucky. Kentucky kicks ass.